take it away.
All right, thank you. So I'm going to warn y'all, this talk I'm about to give here usually takes me about 45 minutes. So I'm going to be talking pretty quickly here. So make sure you're ready to take some good notes. I do have a folder that I have some talks recorded on. I will drop that link in the chat at the end of here so you guys can go back and rewatch some of this stuff that I've recorded previously. So, all right. So can everybody see selling bigger and more often? We good? See my screen? Awesome. Fantastic. So we're going to dive in. This talk is less about mechanics and more about mindset, because I've found in my personal business that mindset and the way that you talk to yourself and the way that you think actually affects the way that you sell more than anything else. So with that, we're going to dive in to the 4 steps to selling, guys. 4 steps to selling. First step is know me. Your customer has to know you. So how do they know you? Well, obviously, if you're starting off, you're with your practice list, your customers already know you. Why do you think we have you guys start with people that you know? Because it gives you actually get to get through a couple of these steps of selling. It's already done for you. And so you get to start off very comfortable and build these skills so that when you start seeing people that you don't know, you've already got those skills built. So the first step is know me, build rapport, share your goals, just get them. They have to know you. Then they have to like you. Okay, so once they know you, they have to like you. Okay, so how do you do that? Well, first of all, you have to create or deepen the relationship. So the first step, they have to know you, but the second step, they have to like you. And what they need to do to like you is that you have to be interested in them. So after you've told them a little bit about you, you have to learn a lot about them, because they want to hear, they want to know that you care. People don't care what you know until they know how much you care. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And so once they know you, they have to like you by you building that relationship. Throw some stuff in the chat here. What is Mrs. Jones' favorite thing to hear? There's some guesses real quick. Or you can shout it out if you're in the office. Mrs. Jones' favorite thing to hear is the sound of her voice. Okay. And what's her favorite thing to talk about? Somebody already threw that in the chat, kind of, is her kids, right? Mrs. Jones loves to talk about her kids. So the more you can ask her about her kids and learn these things, the better. And what's awesome is that this actually does 2 things. First of all, it's building that relationship with Mrs. Jones. And second of all, it's giving you ammunition to use later on in your demo. Are her kids grown? Are they going to be getting married sometime in the next 2 to 4 years? Well, then she should probably just go ahead and buy them a set right now. The price of Cutco is going to go up in September. So she might as well buy it from you now, so that way she gets it cheaper, right? Hook her up with a deal. The more you buy, the more you save, Mrs. Jones. Then they have to trust you. Once they know you, they have to like you, then they have to trust you. And so how do they trust you? Well, first of all, it starts with value in the company. You have a company that's been around for over 70 years behind you. That builds a lot of confidence, a lot of trust, right? We're not a new company. We're not going anywhere. So you can build value in the company. Second, you build value in the product. We have the best product of its kind in the world. It's not hard. You just have to build value in the product. Cutco is amazing, and every customer should own it. And you have to build value in your knowledge of the product. I truly believe one of my superpowers in the business is that I like, you can ask me basically any product or any knife that we make, and I can tell you all about it and why you need it really quickly and easily, just like any CSP most likely can. But the faster you learn about Cutco, the more you're going to sell, because you can actually come from a place of service and why they need it, and help them from there. So, and when you are the expert, they will trust you when you just know exactly what you're talking about at any given point in time. Once they know you, like you, and trust you, then they will pay you. And they'll give you that plastic. Okay. Start big, close big, and always ask for the order. Oh, so you like that homemaker, Mrs. Jones? Yeah, I like it. Oh, cool. Have you ever done that? It's terrible. Don't do that. You have to ask. So would you like to go ahead and get that today? Like, you have to ask for the order. All right, let's talk about some value building. So we're talking about the company here a little bit. We've been around since 1949. We've never fired a factory worker in over 70 years of being in business. Last I heard, this was still true. Never fired a factory worker. We care about our people. We're American made. You're going to see this theme a lot. People care about American made. People will spend more just to have an American made product. We're family owned, which is awesome for the customer because we don't have a bunch of stockholders we have to be paying attention to. It's awesome for us as employees or as reps because the company is going to have our best interest in mind. They don't have to be worried about a bunch of investors. We have a 15-day money back guarantee, which is huge on virtual demos, guys. 15-day money back guarantee. You can get it, Mrs. Jones. And if these aren't the best knives that you've ever owned, you just send it back, you get a full refund, no questions asked. In 10 years, I think I've had 6 returns. And all 6 of them were because of some sort of crazy emergency that came up after they'd made their purchase. Let's talk about value in the product. It's American made. It has unique features and materials. They're the top rated kitchen knives in America. We have a forever guarantee. I mean, how many things do you know of that have a forever guarantee, period, let alone kitchen knives, right? There's not much of anything that has a forever guarantee out there. We're one of the only products, not just knives, only products you can buy once, use every day, and never have to pay to replace it. I should probably put that in my slideshow. Pay to replace it. You may have to replace it, but you don't have to pay for it. All right, let's talk about big mindsets. The big one is coming. This is a mantra that I have that I live by in my business. The big one is coming, and this allows me to think in such a way that when I'm in an appointment, I don't care if that customer buys or doesn't buy because I know that the big order is coming. My mentor, John Israel, who you guys might be familiar with down there, John Israel always talks about the abundance mindset and always knowing that coming from a place of abundance. And this is one of the things that I learned from him. The big one is coming. I always know that there's going to be a big order right around the corner. So I don't care if that customer buys or doesn't buy, or if they buy big or they buy small, because I know that someone's going to buy big and it's coming soon. So throw some guesses in the chat. When I'm talking about the big one is coming, what do you think? What's a big order? What's a big order? Throw some guesses in the chat. Cutco kitchen. Man, Damien, almost looks like you're doing your job down there. Tell you what, love it. Fantastic. So, and what's an average order?
$300, maybe.
It's not one of the options, but I mean, sure, we'll go with no, just kidding.
Oh, sorry. 250.
Okay, 250, 350, 540. Okay, cool. All right. So in basically what I'm talking about here, when I talk about the big one is coming, I'm talking about $1,000 plus. Now, do we have bigger orders? Absolutely. Right. There are business gift orders that we sell consistently at CSPs for over $20,000. One of my buddies just closed an $11,500 CPO order a week and a half ago to a business gift client. I've had multiple $2,000 orders in the past couple of weeks, right? So like $1,000 isn't a big order, but in the interest of the big one is coming, this is what I'm talking about, $1,000 plus. The national average order is currently at 362. The last time I checked, which was last week when I updated my PowerPoint, but it was sitting at $362 is the national average order. My average order is $426. Okay. So you look at these, a lot of times people look at that 426 average order. They'll look at, maybe a Josh Mueller, Curtis J. Hughes, who have like an $800,000-$900,000 order, and they think average order, and they think, well, is that all that they sell? But I wanted to share this stat with you guys a little bit. How many big orders? I sold $137,000 last year. So how many orders over $1,000 do you think I sold in 2020?
A lot.
You think, right? I sold 41. I only had 41 orders over $1,000 in 2020. Added up to 65,838. But how many orders did I sell under 450 in 2020?
200.
That's a great guess. In the interest of time, I'm going to keep scooting through here. 233 orders under 450. Added up to $36,509. Okay, every single order counts. I sold significantly more orders under my average order than I did above my average order. Okay, so every single order counts. I want to make sure that I impress that on you. But I always knew that that big order was coming. 41 adds up to it's just shy of one big $1,000 order a week. And honestly, due to COVID, some of that was a lot of my events weren't there. So different things. So I took a little bit more time off with my family because I could last year than I would normally. So let's talk about buying sets. Why should a customer buy a set? I love sets. And I believe everyone should buy a set if they can fit it in their budget. And here's why. Sets mean they're getting double discounts. Okay, they're getting double discounts. And I tell this to my customers all the time. Like if they're buying a set, like it's like, hey, you get double discounts when you buy a set. Because the ultimate set value, if they buy that all individually, comes out to $32.95, and the customer is only paying $27.39, which means they're saving $556, which is 16% savings without anything else for free. Without you bonusing a single thing, they're already saving 16% by buying it as a set instead of piecing it out. The signature set, valued at $23.47, the customer is only paying $19.95. I'm talking about with table knives here, obviously, but the concept stands. Savings of $352. 15% savings without anything else for free. And the homemaker, $15.40, customer pays $13.26, the savings of $214, which is a 14% savings without anything else for free. Okay, another thing I want you guys to notice here is the discount gets bigger the bigger the set is. What a wild concept, right? So the more you buy, the more you save, Mrs. Jones. The bigger the set that they buy, the bigger of a discount they're getting, the better value it is for them, which is why I tell my customers all the time when we're looking at the sets, and if they're trying to decide between the ultimate and the signature, I'm honest with them. I say, Mrs. Jones, most of my customers end up with that complete set eventually anyways. So if you can swing it in the budget, you're going to save a lot more money in the long run by just pulling the trigger on it all at once. You're getting that 16% savings from the company. Plus, I'm going to add on, X, Y, or Z onto your order to make it worth you making that purchase here today. You're going to save a lot more money in the long run. This is why it makes sense. Now, we've got to guide them to the right set. What you guys have to realize is that Mrs. Jones doesn't know what she doesn't know. Your average Mrs. Jones has never been taught which knife to use. She's never been taught how to use the right tool for the job. She has one knife or three knives that she's used because that's all she knows, right? She is not the expert. You hear it all the time, the customer is always right. Well, that is factually incorrect when it comes to Cutco. Yeah, I'm not going to tell them that in those words, but I'm also going to recognize that I am the expert when it comes to kitchen knives, and 9.5 times out of 10, they are not. They don't know, right? They only know what they've learned in their life. And so my job is to help educate them on what the knives are used for, figure out what it is that they cook, and help them get the right set for their needs, get them out of their own way. So these are not hard and fast rules, but these are some good concepts to think about. If they cook at home 1 to 2 times per week, they only have one kid living at home. Maybe they're maybe no kids living at home. They're retired or about to retire because they're not max if they're retired, but or whatever you guys call them down there, HM3s, max, I don't know, whatever. Minimum basic set, the homemaker. They cook at home 3 to 5 times a week, 2 to 3 kids living at home. They need at least a signature set. I promise you they're going to use it constantly. They cook at home 6 to 7 times per week. They have 4+ kids living at home. I'm telling you guys, they need a complete set. They will use the heck out of the complete set. Okay. By the way, I never call these the Homemaker Signature and Ultimate to the customer. I've eliminated that from my vocabulary. And this is the basic set, the family set, and the complete set. And the galley is the starter set. The galley is the starter set. So anytime I'm talking about them, these are the terms that I'm using. Now, another mistake that I made a lot early in my career, and that I see a lot of reps do, is they project their belief on how much a gift should cost onto their customer. And you never know, right? I have a customer that gives Homemaker Plus 8 sets with shears to all of her grandkids when they get married. She buys them from me 4 at a time and just stashes them in her closet and uses them when she needs to, and just has them there whenever one of her grandkids gets married. I have another customer who bought signature sets for all of her kids and gives the little sets, which in her mind is the galley plus 6, to all of her like acquaintances and her friends' kids when they get married. Okay, everybody has different ideas of what a gift should cost. So don't project your belief of what a gift is onto the customer. So I always ask them, well, what are you looking for, Mrs. Jones? What's your budget? Are you looking for a set or some pieces? And then what I always do, whatever she tells me, whether she says a set or she gives me a budget, is I always show her something that's a little bit bigger than whatever it is that she said. I don't care what it is. It's an ultimate set. I'm like, oh, Mrs. Jones, you can get the ultimate set with flatware. Like, what a great gift. I'm always going to show something a little bit bigger than whatever it is that she suggested. And then we can drop down, and the set that she was actually looking at is going to feel a lot better for her if we need to drop down from there. Okay. Sets just make sense. They're sharp American-made knives. It's the last set of knives Mrs. Jones will ever have to buy. They get the right tool for the right job for safety and efficiency. It comes with a built-in discount. It comes with free cutting board or boards, depending on which set they're getting, and some other free stuff. They're getting those double discounts, and they're safer because they come with a block. And I'm a huge advocate. I will actually argue with Mrs. Jones a little bit nicely if she tries to take the block off of there. Mrs. Jones, look, I'm a huge advocate for our blocks because I found that when my customers have a block out on the counter, then for one, it takes care of the knives. It protects the knives because the knives go in there sideways, so they're not doling the knives out. And secondly, I found that my customers get more value out of their Cutco because they actually use every tool that they own more frequently because it's easy to grab out. They don't have to be digging through a drawer looking for it. So, I mean, you don't have to get a block, Mrs. Jones, but I'm telling you that I highly, highly recommend having a block on your counter there so it's easy to grab and use. All right, dropping down. First key is you drop down slowly. If you haven't had this pounded into your head yet, I mean, you probably have heard this a million times, but drop down slowly. My division manager in training, he used to call it, don't throw the baby down the stairs, was the way he described it. So when you're dropping down, you drop down a little bit at a time. How many of you guys have had somebody ask, can I just buy one piece? Like you just showed them the sets and they're like, well, can I just buy a trimmer? Right? Here's a great little bit of verbiage here for that. Absolutely, Mrs. Jones. Just so you know, the more you buy, the more you save. So let me show you the rest of these options really quick, just so you know what's available. A lot of our customers end up finding a package that fits their budget. But if not, we can definitely get you just that one piece. And never let Mrs. Jones take me from a set down to one piece because it just doesn't make sense for her. 5-piece specials are clutch. This was a huge boost in my career when I started selling on these instead of just the buy 3, get 1 frees. My average order literally jumped like $75 just because I started showing these and promoting these versus just like the little buy 3, get 1 frees. They pick their 5 favorite pieces in a tray. I recommend a chopping knife, a paring knife, and 3 knives in between. And when I'm working at an event or I'm sitting across from Mrs. Jones, this is exactly what I do. I'd say, Mrs. Jones, you get to pick out your 5 favorite pieces in a tray. You get a chopping knife, a paring knife, and 3 knives in between. And I'll wiggle my fingers at her because she doesn't listen. I got to get her looking at me and actually processing what I'm saying. So my personal favorite little 5-piece special, what I sell the most, is a Santoku. I let them pick between the 7-inch and the 5-inch, which gives them options, right? They get to choose. And then they get to pick a paring knife. My personal favorite paring knife is the Bird's Beak. It is my #1 most sold knife overall. I freaking love the Bird's Beak. So most of my customers will get one of the Santokus. They'll get a Bird's Beak. And then I recommend either the Petite Carver or a boning knife, depending on if they do more raw meat or not. I recommend the cheese knife because that's my #2 most sold knife overall. Everybody loves a cheese knife. Got to get them a cheese knife. We put that in the tray, and then I do the Santoku trimmer because when they don't have a lot of knives, they're going to dull the living bejesus out of their regular trimmer. So I get them a Santoku trimmer because it's going to stay sharp longer. Anytime a customer is buying just a trimmer from me, or I'll talk about this in a second, one knife, I go with the Santoku trimmer. So you bonus the tray and one knife, and you get the price as close to $400 as possible, which allows them to still split it up over 5 months with no interest, no credit check, anything like that. And this means they're paying like $88 to $93 a month after tax. Somewhere in there. What's your state tax down there, Damien?
8.25.
Oh, okay. So 90 to 95 bucks after tax. But still, right? So they're, I mean, like Damien was just talking about this earlier. Like if they are a MAC customer or a HM3, or they own a home, have a full-time job, they're age 30 to 60, and they're married, right? They can afford $100 a month. I'm just telling you. I was making, at my previous job, I was making $35,000 a year gross. $35,000 a year, and I had a wife and 2 kids. Well, I still have a wife and 2 kids, but back then I still had my wife and my 2 kids, and I was doing my budget one month, and I realized that we could buy a homemaker on a 5-pay and it wouldn't even hurt. It was like one of the biggest mindset shifts for me when I realized that making $35,000 a year with 2 kids, and my wife did not work, she was a stay-at-home mom, and we could have bought a homemaker plus 8 on a 5-pay and been fine. Okay, your customers can afford $100 a month. Just telling you. And then buy 3 get 1 free if it's still too much. On a buy 3 get 1 free, it's always the cheapest piece. And then end with 1 piece to save the buy now bonus first call special. I always recommend a Santoku trimmer as the first piece of Cutco. The next best I would say would be like a Santoku. A 7-inch Santoku, 5-inch Santoku, or a vegetable knife, something along those lines. But if you've dropped all the way down to 1 piece, they're probably looking for a knife under $100. So you're going to go with the Santoku trimmer. Look, this is just my personal belief, my personal opinion. I will literally refuse to sell Mrs. Jones a paring knife if it's her first piece of Cutco. This is my personal belief, because what I have seen happen, I did this a few times. What I saw happen was Mrs. Jones took that paring knife. She used it for literally everything, and it dulled in like 6 months. And then she was dissatisfied and upset because it was already dull and wouldn't listen to my rational thinking of why she was ruining it herself by using it for all the wrong things. And I couldn't sell her any more Cutco. She was dissatisfied with her purchase. Right? I just literally won't do it. I'm like, Mrs. Jones, I'm not going to sell you just a paring knife if you don't already own Cutco. Like, get the Santoku trimmer, or if you buy, do something else. Like, get something else with it, or you're going to just ruin your paring knife. When in doubt, call PDI. I can't stress this enough. When I was new, I literally talked to my manager constantly, and it's allowed me to grow to the person that I am now. Like, don't be afraid to call PDI when you're in an appointment. You should be calling PDI obsessively. If you even have a thought that Mrs. Jones might say yes to whatever option you're showing her, but you just can't quite get her to say yes, call freaking PDI. Let your managers close it for you. This is why they're there. Bam.
I would say literally the last 10 seconds of that talk were the most important part. Benjy, thank you so much. That's awesome. Wanted to give a few seconds here to see if anybody had any questions over anything that they learned today or wanted some clarification on any of that. Questions going once? Questions going twice? Oh, you guys it? Cool. All right, go ahead and I want you to go to the chat box and I want you to, we're gonna do two things real quick. The first thing I want you to do is I want you to type into the chat box, what was the signal, the biggest gold nugget that you took away from that you're excited to use on your next appointment? One solid thing, you just copy and paste from your notes that you thought you're excited to use for your next appointment. On your mark, it's a go.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Melissa.
When you are building report and you ask like Mrs. Jones a couple of questions and you think that maybe the complete set would be like the perfect set for her or anything, would you like, of what of the sets would you go first? Like, would you show her the homemaker set first or just go with the complete set? Like, what do you do? Because maybe you think the complete set is the best choice for her, but if she sees the homemaker first, maybe then she like doesn't want to buy more pieces or like get a bigger one because she says, I don't need like any more knives. I think with these ones, like they're perfect for me or anything. So that's one of kind of the things that I don't know like what to do in that situation.
Yeah, great question. And Damien, correct me. You are doing the you're doing the interactive demo, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm going to go through the demo exactly as usual. The key to being able to sell ultimate sets, guys, honestly, is knowing the knives. And it doesn't really matter what they see, whether it's the homemaker, the signature, whatever that they see. If you know, if they actually need the complete set, then you'll be able to show them why they need the complete set. And I've had so many times where someone's like been looking at a signature set but because I've grown my skills to where I'm very good at explaining what comes in the complete set that does not come in the family set, is I'm like, yeah, Mrs. Jones, you can definitely get that family set. Like, here's what comes in it. But just so that you know what you're missing out on, these are the pieces that come in the complete set that don't come in the family set. And then, like I said, the phrasing that I use of most of my customers, or most for you guys, I would probably just say most of our customers end up with this set eventually anyways. So if you can swing it in the budget, it just makes sense to do it today. But we can definitely get you started on the signature set if you want. You can upgrade later. The key is you got to make sure that you're not pushing them, right? Mm-hmm. If they feel pushed towards the set, then they're going to say no. So I always give them the reason why and then give them an out. Like, here's why you should do it, but here's an out for why you don't have to. Like, I don't care which one you get the one that makes the most sense for you, but here's why you want the complete set. But if you want to get the signature, that's fine. I don't care.
All right. Well, thank you.
I had a question. You mentioned with the 5-piece special, getting the tray as well. Would you recommend trying to bonus the tray to go with the 5-piece special to kind of sweeten the deal?
Yeah, if you guys didn't know this already, if you have 5 knives and a tray and you bonus the tray, it costs you 0 CPO. It does not bonus, like there are no bonus points with the tray if you're selling. I think it's 4 or more knives, three or 4 knives. I think it's 4 or more knives. If you put a tray on the order and you bonus it, it won't take away any CPO from your order. And so that's why I said I always will do the tray. I'll bonus the tray, and I'll bonus one of the knives to get it as close to $400 as possible. And because you bonus the tray, you bonus one of the smaller knives. You don't have to bonus as much stuff, so it costs you less CPO doing it that way. And oftentimes you can bonus like just the Santoku trimmer and the tray, and you still come out of it with like 375, 400 CPO, somewhere in that range. So.
Great. Any other questions?
I'm going to drop a link in the chat for you guys here. This folder has 8 different, well, 7 really, 7 different teaching talks in it that I have recorded previously. And one of them is names and uses like a pro. I'm going to apologize ahead of time because none of my people told me that I was doing this, but when I was recording the video over the top of the PowerPoint. Didn't know that was a thing that happened. So I learned like halfway through. So some of them have like the videos up over the PowerPoint, but the content's still there. But if you want to learn how to really sell the individual pieces, I'd highly recommend the names and uses like a pro talk there.
Love it. All right, Benjy. Well, thank you so much for your time. Definitely appreciate